So this is Unit 5, Assignment 2, Video 3. The hypothesis for my research is to determine if taking an energy gel has an impact on the distance ran in 20 minutes. I used 5 clients within this research. There was 2 days within this research. One day the clients ran without taking an energy gel, and the second day the clients ran after taking an energy gel. The data I collected on these 2 different days was quantitative because this data was numerical. The data I collected was in kilometres. On day 1, all of the clients ran for 20 minutes non-stop using an incline of 1%. The clients could control their own pace using the treadmill. They could increase or decrease the speed they ran depending on how tired they were during the run. The quicker they ran, the more distance they covered within the 20 minutes. After 20 minutes of running, the clients stopped running and their exact distance was recorded. On the second day of running, the clients took an energy gel before they started running for the 20 minutes. The energy gel was diluted in a small cup of water before the running started. I advised the clients that they should start drinking the solution about 15 to 20 minutes before the running starts. They drank all the solution before running, but the last 50 millilitres was taken immediately before they started running. The second run was the same. The clients could control their own speed, but they had to stay at the same incline of 1% throughout the whole. So the incline couldn't change, but the pace, the belt span and how fast they ran, that could change. So the control variables, there were various variables that I controlled throughout my research that I conducted. Throughout the research, the main variable that I controlled was the duration and the incline. The duration of the research was 20 minutes and the incline was 1%. These factors never changed and stayed the same during the entire research. I controlled these by ensuring the incline settings on the treadmill stay the same, so it wasn't touched throughout the run. And I also controlled the duration of the run. I also controlled the surface that the clients ran on. All the clients used the same treadmill. This run wasn't completed outside, wasn't completed in weather conditions. It was in the gym, which were the conditions were maintained the same, and the same treadmill was used. So the research design. For this research project, investigating the effectiveness of energy gels on 20-minute running, I used a mixed methods research design. This means that the project included both qualitative and quantitative data. The quantitative data is a numerical data that I collected after all the clients had completed both sets of run. This data was measured in kilometres. Within my research methods, I also used qualitative data. This data is subjective and involves the opinions of my clients who took part in the research. I collected this qualitative data by making all 5 clients fill out a questionnaire about how they felt on the research and taking in the energy gel. I use this research design because my research projects get the benefits of both the types of research and data collection. This means all the benefits of the numerical and subjective data are included within my project. I use the mixed methods research design to draw a valid conclusion. I wanted to use both numerical data to back up my point of the conclusion. Also, I use qualitative data to get the opinions of my athletes. I believe that it's important that each client who completed the research gets to voice their opinion. This is very important within my research. So there are various advantages and disadvantages of using a mixed methods research design. This type of research design uses the strength of one research approach to overcome the weaknesses of the other approach. Quantitative data has many advantages. The main advantage of this type of data is that it's very useful for analysing the effectiveness of supplements. This is direct to my project because I am investigating the effectiveness of an energy gel on the distance covered in 20 minutes. Also, my research project gains the benefits of qualitative data. The main advantage of this type of data is that everyone involved within the research gets to voice their own opinion and how they felt about the research that was conducted. Another advantage of using a mixed methods approach instead of other approaches is that it provides a more complex understanding of the topic and the research being conducted. This is a better understanding than just using a single research approach. This is because the method explores the topic from 2 separate angles, so fact and opinion. They both come together. This is beneficial to the validity and the reliability of my research project because the opinions that the athletes feel will match up to the numerical data that was collected during the running. However, there is disadvantages that I came across when using a mixed method research approach. The main disadvantage is that the research approach is more time consuming than the other approaches to research. This is because it requires more planning and design. So for my project, I used a questionnaire to collect the opinions and how the athletes felt towards the energy gels. More time was consumed because I had to design the questionnaire and get each client to fill it out. This is more time consuming than just collecting numerical data. Another disadvantage that I came across while completing my research project is that it was more complex than other research approaches. This is because it involves two types of approaches. To collect the opinions of the athlete, I used a questionnaire. This questionnaire involved a series of questions about the research that athletes had completed. Survey Anyplace in 2019 defined a questionnaire as an instrument for collecting data which almost always involves asking a given subject to respond to a set of oral or written questions. Using a questionnaire gave me the opportunity to review and use the opinions of the athletes within my research. To collect numerical data, I used lab-based testing. Laboratory-based data collection involves collecting data in an environment where all the conditions and potential extraneous variables are controlled. An extraneous variable is a variable that will reduce the validity and the reliability of the final results. These variables are outside of the scope of the study and adversely affect the results. Lab-based data collection ensures that the researcher is only measuring the focus of their research. For example, the focus of my research was to see if energy gels have an impact on the distance covered within 20 minutes. Using a lab-based data collection method ensures that the main focus and doesn't allow any area of the research to become stronger than this focus. Also, for example, if a sports psychologist wanted to test the impact on meditation on the concentration of a darts player, they could use a lab-based data collection method to keep the focus of the research being the only thing measured. The focus of this example would be the concentration of the athletes. Nothing else, nothing to do with sleep or how many 180s they scored or the flight of the dart, nothing to do with that. It's just the focus that the sports psychologist wanted to find out. So, there are various advantages of using a questionnaire within a research project. One main advantage of using a questionnaire is that they don't cost much money. Again, a Survey Anyplace said in 2019 that questionnaires are one of the most affordable ways to gather quantitative data, especially self-administrated questionnaires where you don't have to hire surveyors or perform a face-to-face interview, are a cost-effective way to collect massive amounts of information from many people in quite a short period of time. A questionnaire can be placed on your website or emailed. These methods have little to no cost. Through strong targeting is necessary if you have the highest possible response rate from the most accurate results. No matter what type of questionnaire that the researcher picks, it will be more affordable than outsourcing a market research company. So as a researcher for this project, I was able to do this without external help. Another advantage of using a questionnaire is that it's very easy to conduct. Again, Survey Anyplace said that when data has been quantified, it can be used to compare and contrast other research and may be used to make change or measure change. This makes monthly or yearly questionnaires more and more valuable over time. This impacted me because my one questionnaire answered all the questions that I wanted to ask and got all the answers that I wanted to get. In terms of questionnaire translation for multinational, multicultural and multi-regional surveys, the aim is to get a higher level of comparability across a wide range. So scaling this down, my 5 clients each filled it out, they didn't communicate whilst doing it, and they all come back with their own opinions. So, the results and the analysis of my results. My research project shows that using an energy gel has a significant effect on the distance covered within 20 minutes. All of the clients that took part in the research increased their distance they ran in the first 20 minutes. The only thing that was distance in this run was the energy gel. This shows energy gels work on increasing the distance in long distance running. The content of the energy gel has significant impact on the body system when the athlete is running. They were all able to use a faster pace than the first run because they had more energy to cover a larger distance. 80% of the clients that took part within the run found that energy gels helped them. So, content analysis and member checking. Content analysis is a term used to describe methods of analysing qualitative communications. The qualitative communications I used during my research project was a questionnaire. Content analysis has a specific focus on the content in which the communications took place. As a researcher, this method involved me looking at the content of my questionnaire and grouping data together under the themes. These themes are then refined and developed until I have my final data analysis. The difference between this and other methods is that content analysis does not aim to develop a specific theory. This is different to coding because coding aims to develop a specific theory which is a grounded theory. This type of analysing data communications is more flexible for me as the researcher. Member checking is the process. So member checking is the process of the client checking the data and the results collected within the research. This gives the client a chance to ensure that all conclusions and results I have made as the researcher haven't been changed or tampered with. This is a very important stage of the research project because it ensures that all the results are valid and I haven't been biased. This process was completed after all the gel run and the non-gel runs had taken part. This allowed my clients to give me feedback on the conclusions I had made with their data that they had produced whilst running both times for 20 minutes, once with an energy gel and once without an energy gel. All the clients that ran during this research gave consent for me to use and display their data. After the results had been collected, I gave the clients a copy of the data and the final conclusions to read. They all concluded that the data had not been changed or adapted and I had their permission to use it. This ensures that as a researcher I haven't been biased or any other external opinions have been used to alter the results. All the clients stated that I had not changed the results to suit my own hypothesis or opinions. So, standard deviation. Standard deviation is a number that indicates how much of each value is different to the mean. If the data points are all close to the mean, then the standard deviation is close to 0. If many data points are far from the mean, then the standard deviation is far from 0. If the data is equal, then the standard deviation is 0. So for the mean of run 1 was 2.95. The next step is to take away the mean from all the individual results. This could possibly lead to a minus number. To eliminate this minus number, you square all these numbers. The next step is to add all the square numbers together. 1 is taken from in any research projects, 1 is taken from the number of participants. So I had 5, so it's 5 take away 1. And then the next step is to divide this total of square numbers by 4. 5 take 1 is 4, so this gets divided. So then the final number is square rooted. The standard deviation for run is 20.32. This process is repeated for run 2. The mean for run 2 was 3.51 and the standard deviation was 2.20. Run 1 has a significant difference with the standard deviation. This was because there was an anomaly within the data. One of the clients ran significantly higher than the others, which made the standard deviation nowhere near the mean. However, in the second run, the clients completed with an energy gel. There was no anomaly, so the standard deviation was closest to the mean. Practical meaningfulness statistics is the process. This is the process asks if the results that were produced were meaningful to what the researcher wanted to find out. I use this during my research because the research I completed needed to focus on the distance covered. So, in conclusion, I believe that using a mixed methods research approach was the most effective for my hypothesis to investigate the effectiveness of energy gels on a 20-minute continuous running. Throughout my research, I ensured that the data was both valid and reliable. I did this by controlling variables which impacted the data. For example, I controlled the gradient that the clients were running, the amount of energy gel they took, and the distance they ran. The duration of the run. This means that the research can be repeated and the data would be the same if I did this again. There are various advantages I found from completing this research project. The data that I collected concluded that taking an energy gel had a positive impact on the distance covered in the 20 minutes. This is an advantage because this can be incorporated into sports to give athletes a competitive advantage. This research will also improve the athlete's overall performance. My research suggests that the athletes will be able to cover a greater distance when taking an energy gel. This means that is a positive improvement on their stamina of the athlete who is running. This can be incorporated into athletic events in the Olympics. This also shows to other sports that involve running, such as football and rugby, can be improved. This would benefit the athlete who play these sports because they'll be able to cover a larger distance within 20 minutes. This would give them a competitive advantage over their opponents. However, there are also many disadvantages to my research. My data shows an improvement in the ability to cover a large distance when running. The research and data that I collected does not link to any other sport or forms of cardiovascular endurance exercise except running. For example, it shows no direct link to any other cardiovascular exercises such as continuous rowing, continuous cycling. It only shows the improvements of the athlete, and the results could not be expanded or covered within other areas of sport. Also, my research showed no sport link. For example, this research showed no relation to sports such as swimming, tennis, rowing. All of these sports involve a high level of cardiovascular endurance, and my research did not conclude if energy gels were beneficial to these types of athletes or not. This is a major disadvantage for my research because it only shows that the benefits are very small, involving only one area of sport. To improve my research in the future, I would conduct more tests to run along the main gel and the non-gel run. These extra tests would include a 20-minute cycle, a 20-minute swim, and a 20-minute continuous row. This would improve the data I collected because the results would show if cardiovascular training is improved by energy gels or not. It would show if the results are just specific to running or not.